so funny you say that because I was actually sitting down last night in the backyard with Clara. I made a little fire and I had the fire pit going. We were talking about that very same thing and how I grew up. My mother was very like, "Do what I tell you. Do it just this way. Follow directions, right?" And I was telling Clara, I said, I don't want our kids to grow up like that. I realized as I got older that many of the people who are, um, I don't want to say successful, but they're at higher positions within their career are people who are able to operate outside the norm. They're able to feel comfortable doing things their own way. They're able to say, like, no, I don't agree with you. That's not a great idea. I think this way is the better idea, and be comfortable with disagreeing or having people tell them, like, no, that's a bad idea. Like, all right, we'll see, right? Because they're confident enough in what they think is right, and they're okay with opposition, and they're able to define themselves and get farther ahead in their careers, right? And so I was telling Clara, I was like, I want the kids to feel like that. I don't want to be disrespectful because they get smacked in their mouth, right? But I do want them to feel like they can be confident within themselves, and they can be them. They can feel okay doing things a different way, going a different way, right? Because if you don't have that kind of mentality, you then often find yourself living in self-doubt or following others and never separating yourself truly from the pack, right? And being your own self. You're just within a system that's been created by people who are independent and are at the top, right?
Right.
And so that was one of the things we actually talked about last night that we continue to kind of figure out, because again, that's not something we were raised with. And like you said, as kids, as they start to develop their own kind of independence, sometimes go a little overboard with it. So you have to figure out ways to rein them in. But that's one of the things that we're constantly trying to figure out. How do we create within them in a healthy dose, so that they understand the situations by which they need to kind of operate in that kind of thing. But I would say the one thing, aside from that, we're also trying to figure out is how to be respectful to people, not because they're elders, but they're being respectful to you, right? And at first, that was something that Clara had brought to me, and I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. But then when she made her point, I understood why she said that, right? Because the point she was making was, just because you're older doesn't mean um, you're wiser, doesn't mean you're nicer, or doesn't mean that, you should get the free card and being a jerk to somebody and somebody should take it, right? So, what you should do is be respectful to everybody, right? Be respectful to those who are respectful to you, so that you can share the respect with each other, versus show respect to somebody who's not going to show you any respect, right? Like, not to say I've been in any of those, jobs or name any names, but places where people may be at higher positions, and because they're at a higher level or feel like they have more respect within an organization of peers because of their status, they feel entitled to talking to you a certain way, and that you should be okay with taking it, right? And so, um, or just people who sometimes take advantage of people, and having the kids understand that you should not be disrespected. It's not okay to be disrespected. You need to stand up for yourself. You have to do it in the right way. Again, it's another teaching of like, there's a certain way of telling people you feel disrespected, you're not going to take it. And it doesn't have to necessarily end in fisticuffs when somebody disrespects you, right? You could say it in a polite way and make your point heard. But you got to do it in a good way. So those are the two things we're trying to modernize within our family.